Welcome, my peeps, my peoples. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video. It'd be greatly appreciated. It's Mary Jane. And let's talk about Joe Budden's podcast. Yes, he dissed the shit out of Eminem. Yesterday, it was crazy. He washed Eminem. It was just like ridiculous. But let's get into something else that looked very different and very telling too as well. I actually listened to the show on SoundCloud, and then I ended up watching it on YouTube. And it was something different. Something stood out about Joe that was reminiscent of his past. And it seems like Joe Budden could possibly be on Adderall. This is allegedly, this is just a theory in my opinion, just the way Joe Budden's expressed himself. And we all know that Joe Budden's under a lot of pressure. You know, he got to deal with Spotify. He has a new show with The Culture with Remy Ma, and he also have Pull Up, and he has a lot of different things going on. And then he has the greatest rapper alive dissing him, which is Eminem, and that's a lot of pressure too. He's just been married too as well. He has a new baby at home, so he's under a lot of stress. And usually when people get under a lot of stress and have a lot of, jobs and opportunity going on, sometimes they depend on what usually helped them get through and help them able to fulfill all the engagements that they have. And Adderall can definitely help you with that. And it seems like Joe was on Adderall. It's like he was just he was sweating so much, like the sweat was just like crazy. He had on a tank top, he had on a wife beater, no one else is sweating like him. And it's just like, his eyes look goth. His eyes look like they were dazed. His eyes look like they was out of it. See right there, his eyes just look like he's on something, in my opinion. And the way that he just kept going back and forth on tangents. And then also how he had to depend on Maul and Rory most of this podcast to remind him and to keep him on topic about what he was talking about. And it was just like, whoa, he was really dependent on them as well. And it looked like Maul and Rory was kind of like shocked, wasn't really saying anything. And Maul really looked like he was kind of nervous and disappointed at Joe. And he didn't really say anything, but just to help Joe stay on topic. It's like after when the episode started, Maul was talking a little bit, but then he started seeing Joe change and switch up, and his behaviors went from angry, mad, sad. It was just a lot going on, and it just seems like Rory was kind of Maul was kind of disappointed, and he was just like looking like whoa. Rory was just like, he just had his head down most of the time and his eyes closed, and he just looks like he was confused, but he still tried to stay in the conversation. But Joe wasn't letting anybody talk. And it was like Joe's focus was very diminished, very, very diminished. And how he kept just like hearing things like, for example, somebody more could say, oh, Tupac is alive. And then Joe was like, oh yeah, back in 1993, Tupac this and Tupac that, and then jump back on the subject where like that's how people on Adderall are, where they can, they recite things and remember little pieces of things as well. And then they jump back to another topic. And it seems like Joe was doing that too as well. And just like his mannerism, he was like glittery. He was like, jittery, very jittery. And it's like and he was more animated than usual. Like he was really animated. And so I don't know if the pressures of life, the pressure of all these opportunities and engagements that he have to, put together and actually do could possibly have him under pressure. But it seems like his behavior, to me, in my opinion, in my theory, that he took a little bit of Adderall. And then it also reminiscent of when, if you're a long time Joe's follower, you can tell when Joe's really animated and when Joe was on Adderall, when he was doing interviews and when he was actually speaking on things. That's what it looked like. I don't think it's something that's going to stay around. I don't think Joe's going to continue to use Adderall, but this is all allegedly. And I believe I can make this statement because if Joe can allegedly accuse Nicki Minaj of being on Adderall, then being on drugs, I can say this too as well. But I wish Joe the best. Joe is, I listen to his podcast on SoundCloud before it even hits YouTube. And I always talk about Joe. You know what I mean? I wish Joe the best. And I think he's real. I think he's authentic. And I just love like how he's not fake. How like he knows he has the people on his side. He knows that people are listening. He knows he has the audience. He knows that he made it. And then on top of that, he ain't broke no more. So one love, peace, I'm out.